Hi, everybody. Welcome to Plant Powered Business Strategies to Grow Your Positive Impact. My name is Johanna, and I'm here as always with my co host and friend Brieanah. Hi, Brie.
Hey everyone.
So it's been a while since we've done a copy critique episode, and today that's exactly what we're going to do. We were talking, going through our copy critique episodes, and thinking what are we missing? And then we realized that we haven't done one about the about page at all, and it's a very strategic asset. It's one of the most visited pages on your website. So we thought, okay, that's a good topic to dive into. And we both dug up a few real life examples from different kinds of brands and their about pages. And today we're going to take turns basically giving a copy critique, copy audit, going through these brands. So if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can also go over to YouTube and you can look over our shoulders as we show the actual pages. And we will also try to remember to really name the brands so that you can find them. Anything else, Brie, before we actually start talking about this?
I'm excited to see what you pulled and hear your feedback.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Okay, so I pulled up this makeup brand, which is not really I don't want to say my cup of tea, but my strength or whatever at all. But I really love this about page. I think they've done a really good job at fitting a lot of important stuff in a short amount of copy. So it says our story. And what I like a lot is that they start with the problem, not with the solution. So it says 120 billion. The beauty industry creates 120 billion units of packaging waste every year. Much of that is plastic that ends up in our landfills and ultimately our oceans. Join us in making the switch to plastic-free beauty. So you get the solution there as well before going into the proper about founder story. But I really like this, that it pulls you into the problem. And then you go, or it continues how it started about the founder story. So I'm just going to read this because it's so short. Hi there, I'm Erica. I'm a Capricorn. I probably eat too much tofu, and I'm the founder of Axiology. Running a plastic-free vegan beauty company was never really in my plans, but in 2013, when I learned that all of my makeup had been tested on animals, I decided to start making my own vegan lipstick in my tiny kitchen by watching YouTube videos and checking out DIY books at the library. So there's a lot of great copy principles at play here. There's a lot of specificity, there's a bit of a nudge perhaps to people, who might appreciate things like astrology. She mentions she's a Capricorn, probably eat too much tofu, mentioning that how she started doing it in her tiny kitchen, watching YouTube videos, DIY books at the library. I just love the details of it. And it feels very very real and personal and even a little bit messy. You can imagine how it looks like in the kitchen. And then the journey continues from Etsy to Credo. I guess that's how you pronounce it. After 2 years of experimenting with ingredients in my kitchen and annoying my roommate who eventually kicked me out, I launched Axiology on Etsy with 6 shades of the first 10 ingredient lipstick. It was smooth and buttery, and more importantly, was fully vegan, cruelty-free and clean. Our vegan lipstick was a hit and eventually got picked up by retailers around the world, including Credo. So here you see how the story continues, without going too much into detail, but also you can see how there's some authority woven into the story, how they're getting bigger and getting recognized by bigger players in the industry. And then comes a bit of a moment of something shakes up, or there's a bit of an awakening. 100% plastic free. Fast forward a few years when I learned that the beauty industry creates 120 billion units of packaging waste every single year, and that Axiology was part of the problem. Yes, our lipsticks were ethically sourced, cruelty-free, vegan, and the tubes were made from 50% post-consumer recycled plastic, but it was still waste that would eventually end up in a landfill or our oceans. So in 2022, we ditched all of our plastic and focused our efforts on fighting the beauty industry's massive plastic waste problem. So here you see this, yeah, this moment of awakening and what comes after that. Because in a good story, there's usually this like a moment of but or like yeah, something shifts, and I love that it's also present there, and you can see that this really is like a journey of growth and development. And then comes the last part, turning island trash into packaging. All of our boxes, including our lip to lid Balmies boxes, are made from island trash and are 100% recyclable. Before launching Axiology, I lived in Bali and I witnessed the pollution on their streets and beaches. It was then that I decided to partner with an amazing women's cooperative that turns Bali's paper trash into beautiful packaging. What's wonderful about this company is that they provide stable work and fair wages for women in Bali while also removing trash pollution from the island. So there's like this very specific visual story that is very powerful. And instead of saying that we're like sustainable, they say partnering with amazing women's cooperative that turns Bali's paper trash into beautiful packaging. It's like, yeah, well done. I believe that this is a brand, a business that really tries to do things as well as possible, like as sustainably as possible, and is really like open to growth and being like a real solution to a lot of the problems that we face. It's a pretty short about page, but yeah, like I said, there's a lot of content there, and I think they did a really good job. I think if I were to give one item of feedback or something that they could do better, they could perhaps have some testimonials or like some proof, like social proof here, because it only goes to the like best sellers. But I could imagine something like some statistics at the end, like where they're selling, like, this kind of stuff, some results from people or, but all in all, I would give them 5 out of 5 or like 4.5 out of 5. Not that we're like grading here, but I was really happy to find this example. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts or questions,
Yeah.
Brie?
What a cool example. Thanks for sharing. On your point of testimonials and statistics, especially when they're talking about the impact and the changes that they made along the way, like 100% plastic free. I love that that's the
Mm,
header, the number,
yeah, here, yeah.
right? But then after that, what's been your impact since you switched? Like
Mm,
how much plastic has avoided the landfill because you switched?
very good
Um,
point.
saved X amount of pounds of plastic, or I don't know what unit you would put it in, but to show that you've saved X amount from going into landfills, just anything you can use to really quantify your impact beyond, of course, customer testimonials of how great the product is or how they feel value aligned with you, but to really prove that you are making that impact and show that you're more than just words.
Yeah,
Like we want to be plastic free, but look, for the past 3 years, we've been plastic free and we've had this amount of impact.
yeah, thanks.
Uh,
That's such a good point.
Other than
Numbers.
that, I love the tone of it, Johanna. Like you were saying when she's talking about like I eat too much tofu. I love the relatability to it. It just feels very personable.
Yeah.
And it's a big brand, but it
Yeah,
feels like
exactly.
you're talking to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
So great job. Switching gears a little bit, the first one is the Herbal Academy. So the Herbal Academy teaches different courses at different levels for learning herbalism in different ways, anywhere from the hobbyist herbalist like me to people that actually want to practice this and be herbalists and earn an income that way. So I found them because I take their courses, but I really like how they frame their story throughout their website. So I wanted to bring it here for the About page as well. This is a larger company, but as we go through, you'll see how they really keep that core mission of their founder and their origin story throughout everything that they do, even as they've developed and grown. So here, obviously, we're leading with the mission statement. They really want to focus on education, and you'll see that throughout their story of as they go to online. How can they make it more accessible? How can they make it more engaging? They talk about the struggles in creating content. They want more than just people learning the skills. They want the actual industry to continue. And as you can see here, the next generation of sustainably minded herbalists. So this is a movement more than just a school and
Mm.
learning. From this about page as we go through, if you're a business that offers courses, think meta like this. Like, what is the bigger picture in the courses that you offer? What is that bigger mission? Why are you offering the courses you offer? What is that change you want to see? What's the mission you want to see achieved through your courses? What do you hope people take away? Those sorts of things are what you can talk about in your about page for your company. What I liked here is they'll continue to go down on their about page into all their values and break down each value, which could be really important for a very value led industry like herbalism. But at the top, they have two buttons here: get to know our team and read our story, so that you can shortcut to different parts of their about page. So, when you're putting together your about page, if you're a little bit larger of a company or if you have different offers, think about how the different aspects intertwine. So your story, like we just saw on axiology, might fit into part of the company's story, or the brand might stand on its own and you could have a button that says read our founder's story and it takes them to a separate page and you can say more about your journey there. There are different ways to have about pages flow together, just something to consider depending on your business and the stage of business that you're in. If we look at some of the pages here that pop out from the main About page, the Herbal Academy, a pioneer of online herbal education. So here is their real backstory, right? This is when they're going back to the very beginning of when they were founded. It tells the story through a timeline when they were established, through growing into the massive platform they are today with all their online courses, all the students they've helped, all the graduates they have. And so we see a lot of similarities between axiology and this page, having the different steps along the way, that timeline formatting for an about page of here's where we were and here's where we are and where we can be going. So that's a way to organize a brand's about page for sure, especially if you want to tell it in a story format like this. One of the other pages was to their team page. So we have the founder at the top, and then it goes into directors, core team, etc. What's interesting about how they set this up that I want to point out is their founder has actually passed away,
Okay.
but they keep her front and center on
Mhm.
the team page. And I thought that was really interesting. And it really spoke again to the values of the brand, right? That they value what she wanted to achieve, her influence and impact on this brand. So much so that she's mentioned throughout the story, every point that she had impact. But she's also featured on the top of the staff page as still the founder and visionary for the brand.
Yeah.
So let's say if you've inherited a brand from a relative or a parent, or you purchased a company and you've taken it over and are making it your own, there's something to be said for honoring that history and honoring the founder, honoring why the brand was started. I wanted to point this out here that there's a way to honor the past and still show the innovation and this current staff and where they want to take things.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I love that. Where do you end up if you click here, view profile, or then the other people, or where you're gonna get there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, View Profile takes you to a breakdown, her biography, where she's located, any specializations, excuse me, if she's posted on the website, if they write blogs, things like that. So if they want to read more, in this case is 1955 to 2022 because she has passed away, but it has her whole story here. And it's really impactful because it talks about why she created it, how she created it, and then some evolution when she was diagnosed with cancer and how the team came together and helped her create a program specifically for people going through cancer treatment that wanted a more holistic approach to cancer treatment, and how that really influenced the growth of the company as well. Keeping that part of the story front and center can be really impactful for people who find your program. Maybe someone is going through something similar, or
Yeah.
or they've had a relative that has, and it's that humanity that we saw in your example, Johanna, just in a different way. Like, I
Yeah.
eat too much tofu or I have cancer, and I wanted to explore how to treat it differently. It's that openness, that transparency that really matters when you come to bios and about pages, in my opinion, and I thought they did it really well.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say, Johanna?
Well, thank you for sharing. I really love that this is, yeah, like a bigger brand as well, but like such a different way of doing it. And I love that you showed how differently you can structure or organize it, that there's the option for those people such as me who wants to read it all and like understand the background, that then you can like click and read more. And so yeah, I think they did that really well. I love the vibe of the whole thing, the like photos, everything. It looks very inviting.
They definitely have their brand tapped in, and they talk about that in their about page too,
Ah,
of, like,
okay.
we wanted it visually appealing.
Yeah,
They go through that whole journey of making sure it was branded correctly for online learning because
yeah,
it has to be appealing. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, then we move on to like solopreneur, like
Exciting. Okay.
us. For like transparency, I actually know Katrina Fox like not super well, but we've met in Sydney back in the day, like a long time ago, and I follow her on LinkedIn, and I have like a feeling about her personality because of that. But since she's a storyteller and a marketer herself, I thought it would be interesting to look at an example like that, how she like crafts her about page. I'm not going to read everything. Hi, I'm Katrina Fox, strategic storytelling consultant for vegan leaders. It's like very clear like what she's about and who she's for, like the promise there at the beginning. And also she starts with her values right away, or you get this vibe that she's very mission driven right away, even if this is like you accidentally or like end up here like because somebody linked you here and you'd never like heard of her before. Two things have always driven me: standing up for my values and storytelling. Today I'm able to do both. And then like she goes on to talk about like veganism right away. I gravitated towards veganism even before I understood what that meant. At age 11, I swore off meat and rejected animal cruelty. As an adult, I became vegan. At the same time, I became a journalist nearly 30 years ago. I worked in a niche media in the HR industry and construction and LGBTQ organizations to communicate their ideas and values. But I felt like I didn't always have the opportunity to be true to my own. Wherever I could, I'd sneak in articles about animal causes. I'd work, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to make a bigger impact. And so on. And like what I really like about this about page is that she's a storyteller, so you can really see like this like narrative arc there, like where she comes from, like what she's gone through and how like her journey has developed. The whole story or the whole page like, creates authority and trust, like the working as a journalist, like feeling misaligned a little bit with her work. And then she moves on to talk about this like realization, awakening again. And then one night in 2014, it happened. It came to me. An idea so powerfully obvious now, but back then the realization caused me to sit bolt upright in bed. I could write for entrepreneurs starting vegan ventures, sharing their stories and helping others build ethical, values-based businesses aligned with their beliefs. I started interviewing dozens of vegan business owners all over the world, and I wrote a best-selling book that sold thousands of copies and helped thousands of people learn how to build their own values-based businesses. And then she goes on to talk about how these business owners don't choose the easiest path and so on. And her story is very similar to mine, and I really appreciated that she is so clear about her mission and values, because I know that for myself and I know for a lot of other like vegan business owners, there's this like struggle, or like how outspoken should you be about like your values or what you want to do. And I think she's just like very, very good example about being exactly the person she is. Like also she talks a lot about like queer issues and is like open about that. And yeah, it's just very clear like what she's about and who she's for. And there's like the narrative arc there, and what the story does well is like weave in this authority, such as like working as a journalist for 30 years, writing this best-selling book. There is the book actually on the page. I was thinking like earlier that maybe I would have like made a bigger deal out of it on the about page, but yeah, I think she does a really good job here. And then I get to the like last point I wanted to make. So she has like a fun facts about me section here, and I love a good fun fact section because it helps you show your personality. Like she already has a lot of that here, but like this is like yeah, even like a different level. I met Lauren Bacall outside the Haymarket Theatre in London when I was 18. I left Sophia Loren lost for words at a press conference when I asked her what she thought of same-sex marriage, and so on. And such as I can't sing in tune, but I enjoy leading a community choir. I belong to Incognito songs. It's just like such like random specific things, and it really piques my curiosity at least. Like, what? This sounds like a fun, unique personality that I want to get to know. Do you have any questions or
I
thoughts?
like the structure, but within it, I like how she used coherence markers, like with the bolding and the
Mm,
emojis to help
true.
the eye flow through it. Oftentimes, as copywriters, we'll hear feedback from clients like, "Is this too long? Like, are people actually gonna read all of this? I don't know if I should include this." They worry about people actually digesting the information that they're putting out in the world, whether
Yeah.
it's an email or their website, etc. Often, the feedback that I give is it's all in how you format it, right? And here she's using a lot of line breaks. She's using bolding to break up the weight of the text. She's using
Yeah.
emojis to break up the indentions of the text. And so yes, she's a great storyteller, but even great storytellers know that everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
And so to help the eye comprehend what this story is, we're helping it along with some of those tools. So I think that that was something to point out as well. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to write long. Your people will love it. If they don't love it, they're not your people.
Exactly.
But if it worries you at all, know that you have tools in your back pocket like this to help people along the story as well.
Yeah, again, such a good point. Thank you for like bringing that up, and I want to stress that your about page is a great place to attract your people, like really really get them to come to you, and those who don't get you, then it's good that you repel them. So I know it can it can feel a bit like I don't know, scary or nerve-wracking to know that you're like really saying no to some people, but anyways, you do it. So it's just part of it.
So, definitely in contrast, this is Thistle. In the US, this is a food delivery service that offers plant-forward dishes. So what I liked about this page was how succinct it was, but how clear it was to their mission. In contrast to writing at length, you can have impact and brevity as well, depending on your style as a brand, as an entrepreneur, but also to your audience and your niche. If you are a solopreneur working directly with business owners and you are the voice that they are talking to, you might want to say more than if you are a food delivery service and what you're actually putting forward the most is not your voice, but your food,
Mm.
right? Something to think about in what matters most in my business. Do I really need to support with a ton of copy about who I am? Or does my food stand on its own? Questions to ask yourself along the way, depending on your business. So, again, here, like the herbalism company, we're starting with their mission clear, simple, bright photography makes it very easy. Immediately goes into their story, which I think is really powerful. I think it's set up well here. It has their signature at the bottom. It feels relatable. It feels real, like they're telling this to me, but it's brief. So, when they started Thistle, what their vision was for Thistle, they wanted to improve human health, reduce the environmental footprint. All of their food is plant forward, dairy free, made without gluten ingredients, organic whenever possible, nutritionally designed to make you feel energized, empowered, and focused throughout your day. And you'll see later on that they actually care about the communities where they get the food as well. So, like we were talking about with the beauty brand earlier, this is a brand that truly cares about their impact in the world and the communities that they work with and the people that they serve. And they're making that clear right from the start. From their mission into their story, you can tell that's going to be a through line through their about page. I like that they have a picture here of their founders. Again, since this is a food delivery service, not a person being the
Mm.
face of the brand, it is important to show the founders at some point, right? People connect with people, but they don't have to be super featured on the homepage or something like that. But this is a place to do it. So, overall, this is a brief bio for them. They could go more in depth about them as people, right? It says our story and it is more Thistle's story than theirs. Where are they from? Why food? What inspired them to go dairy free and plant forward? Some of those random facts that you just showed us from Katrina, like that could be interesting to add here. I'm left wanting to know a little bit more about them personally.
Yeah.
Because it is more focused on the brand. Not that that's wrong, but if you are going to have it say our story and show them, it leaves me wanting to know them a little bit more. From there, they go into their values of a community approach. They measure their profits by their impact on the people and the planet. Yes, success in money, but also success in impact and making sure that they are helping people, helping the planet. Sustainable sourcing, locally sourced, organic whenever possible. You can even meet the makers. Then they have an opportunity to join their team. And then it goes into their socials, which is a footer across the site. So, overall, a very brief about page, right? Again, we talked about up here getting to know the founders a little bit more. They talk about their ethos as a company, community approach, organic, locally sourced, those sorts of things. They could go more into details about that. Again, why plant based? Who's designing the recipes? What's their backstory? What impacts on people are they hoping to have? Why is diet change important to them? Why is diet change important to them? Are they hoping to broaden people's horizon of what plant forward is? Is it because of global impacts? Sharing more about their personal values here could make
Mm.
this a stronger page altogether. But it does a good job of giving that ethos to the company of, okay, they're doing good and I can feel good about purchasing from them. So at a very high level, I think it serves a purpose, but I think they can take it even further if they wanted to. What do you think, Johanna?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how many direct competitors they have, for example, in the States, but it's like the plant-based market is so big these days, and people come to it for like a number of reasons or relate to it for a number of reasons. So yeah, like this bit more of the backstory, like why plant forward. I would have loved to see or like read that as well because it is really a way to stand out in a crowded market. But yeah,
Agree.
considering that it's like a company, it does have some personality, and I appreciate that, and I think it also looks very appealing to me. Yeah,
Yeah, their photography is great.
yeah,
And having ordered from them before, I know that these containers
mm,
are the containers that their food comes in. So they're showing their actual food products. These aren't
yeah,
stock photos, right? Something that if they're saying that they want to have their business function this way to help the environment, they might want to address why they use plastic. Is
yeah,
it recycled plastic, right?
yeah, totally,
Um, just little things that people who are their target audience are going to pick up on. These are sustainably minded, conscious, value driven people who are going to see plastic containers and be like, oh, that's a lot of plastic.
yeah,
I feel good about how they're growing and how they're sourcing their food, but I don't want to use that much plastic. Maybe that's even a barrier to someone ordering
yeah,
from them that they
yeah.
could address in their about page?
And there's not like an FAQ somewhere where they address this or
Oh, don't see one.
yeah.
But yeah, FAQ could be a place to do it as well. Oh, here's a sustainability page. Let's see. Now I'm curious. 6 sustainability initiatives, plant forward diet. Okay, so here's some of the breakdown that we were talking about in that first example, having charts and statistics to help
Yeah,
people
yeah.
understand the impact. So, global impact of animal agriculture and breaking that down for people. That's really powerful. Sustainable sourcing. Okay, here we go. We purchase verifiable carbon offsets for all our customer deliveries, supporting projects that preserve forests, reduce pollution, improve livelihood, packaged in facilities that run on carbon free energy. Okay, reducing our packaging footprint. We're committed to minimizing the environmental impact of our packaging. While we currently use plastic containers to keep our meals safe, fresh, and delicious, we're actively working on more sustainable solutions. In the meantime, we're proud that Thistle has joined the Plastic Recovery Pledge in partnership. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're aware of it.
Yeah.
But they could link to this page in their about page, right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
and really feature their sustainability pledges and things that they have in mind. I think that's another point that to really drive home, going back to the herbalism page, how well they thought about the journey that someone might take through the about page and the different pages that needed to link together, right? So they had the main about page, they had their story, they had their staff page, their founder's story, all of them linked, and you could travel whichever way you needed to or wanted to. That's something that Thistle could think more about, is that user journey. So starting on the about page, what are some questions that might come up as someone is reading your about page? Having this page linked,
Yeah.
not just in the foot, but actively linked in the about page could be really beneficial because that question came up for us about their
Yeah.
plastic packaging. Thinking about that when you post your about page to your own website. Are there questions that are going to come up for people that I can address with information that's already on my website? Or do I need to create
Mm.
a statement or a policy that I can link to so people feel good about what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
And to your point, Johanna, that you've brought up several times, that how about pages are meant to build that authority and trust. This is just that opportunity to really solidify that authority and trust by
Yeah.
supporting with that further information. Anything else?
No, that was a really great example, and I'm glad we
Yeah,
went down and did some extra research there to get
yeah,
some
me
answers.
too. That was fun.
Cool. Okay, we don't have too much time, but I want to quickly share the third brand I found. It's a food brand as well. This is a family business, and it becomes very clear when you come to the about page. So it says, "Meet the fam. We're a true big family company." So there's an paragraph about the founder, the mom of the family, and then we go on this like journey of how the business has been around already for, was it 16 years? No, for over 17 years, Foodies has manufactured plant-based food with a conscience. No, difficult word. And then you go down a memory lane, and I really like a good, like, what's this called? This like a timeline with these
Yeah.
milestones. So Foodies is born 2007, then 2008. After becoming a local favorite at the Cincinnati Farmers Market, we begin to pitch our products to local grocery stores. Then partnering with Whole Foods 2010, then 2013, stepping up our game. And every time there's like a little snippet of like something specific that happened, and we go on to 2016, 17. I think it's such a good example of this kind of like a timeline that is not boring, that it's, you can really, if you want to understand this brand and where they're coming from, you can follow it. And what I love is that you can, because like the plant-based market is or has been like this trend, so you can really see that, hey, this is a family, and this is like the opposite of trend. They've been doing this for a long time. They're really committed, and they know what they're doing. Have you ever heard of
No.
Food? Okay, so it's it's their newest and most popular product to date. So I became curious. I guess it's like kind of like tofu made from pumpkin seeds. So, but yeah, so I really like the timeline here, moving on up to until like 2021. You really feel like, I didn't read it through now, but you can feel that it's like a family that is like inviting you to join their journey and try their tasty plant-based food. And another thing I wanted to point out is the values values section because it's not like boring, vague words that companies sometimes have. It's like very specific and like fun. Again, more love, less judgment. We're not here to judge. We're just here to make really a good vegan food in the most mindful way, made in a kitchen, not a lab, which is kind of like a hint towards all this newer proteins that some people have problems with because yeah, all the processing and whatever. Then palate driven recipes, families, everything, and other values. So we're fortunate to not only share the same last name, but also the same philosophies for food. 5 kids. Yeah. So I thought this is like a really memorable values section. I would say that based on this, when I come across foodies, I will for sure like remember, oh yeah, it's this like family company.
Yeah, the one takeaway that I have scrolling through that is how they really paired the copy with visual storytelling
True. True.
so well compared to the others that we've seen that were very copy heavy, had great photography, but this really paired photography, real photography from
Yeah.
their growth, from their journey that told the story. Even as Johanna was scrolling as fast as she was, you got the feeling of the brand, not having read
Yeah.
every little thing, which can be just as impactful, especially in today's society when our attention spans are shorter than ever. Visual storytelling really matters. And so being able to put your photos, your family,
Mm.
these milestones that really happened and feature them on a timeline like this, that's really powerful. So I think it's a great example. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. You want to talk
Very
about
cool.
one more or
No, I think we should wrap
yeah.
up, but
Okay.
this was an amazing coffee call. So fun. I hope everyone listening got something out of it as well.
Yeah, same. I feel like we really power through. So yeah, if you have any examples after listening, any questions after listening to this, or you want to share your about page or ask for any advice, like we're always here. You can reach us via email, which is plantpoweredbusiness@gmail.com.
And
Yeah.
we'd love to do a live copy audit as well. We're always up for that. We wanna support the movement and the community. So if you need support, let us know.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you again next month. Bye.
Bye.